Insane new bone meal farm for Minecraft Bedrock Edition. This ultra simple little fish farm produces up to 22,000 bone meal per hour, and it's one of the simplest builds ever. It's literally just a platform of water and a couple of trident killers. It is ultra cheap to build, and if you do it right, you could even get 2 of them for 44,000 bone meal an hour. This style of bone meal farm is basically the new meta for Bedrock Edition. This is way better than basically any other source of bone meal, including moss farms. My Overkill double moss farm produces about 5,000 bone meal per hour. So that means after running the farm for 10 minutes, you're gonna get all of these items right here, which is this entire double chest of bone meal and then some, which means if you run this farm for 1 hour, you're gonna get this double chest of bone meal and that one and this one and that one and this one and this one and this entire inventory. So it's basically the best bone meal farm in Minecraft, hands down. To simplify that for you, every 10 minutes of using the farm, you're gonna get about 6.5 stacks of bone blocks. Oh, and also you can build 2 of these if you have the right circumstances for a total of 44,000 bone meal per hour, or over a stack of bone blocks per minute. So using the farm is really simple. We have a lever off to the side here, which turns on all of our trident killers to kill our fishes. Then you just simply go to the AFK spot and hold yourself a looting 3 sword. This applies the looting effect to all your fish so that you get absolutely tons of bones from them. And then you can stand here for as long as you want. And of course we have a roof above us to prevent phantoms from spawning, so you don't have to worry about those guys as you AFK overnight. Huge thanks to old Rusty for showing me the mechanics of this build and helping me design it. You can find a link to their channel below. This technology is less than literally a couple of weeks old, so there is definitely some room for improvement. And let me know if you want to see an even more powerful bone meal farm tutorial. But again, huge thanks to old Rusty for helping me with the mechanics and the build. So how is this tiny little farm so efficient? Well, it's such a simple mechanic that it's kind of wild no one's found it yet. So basically, when a fish is in one layer of water, they're going to try and pathfind to some deeper water. So we have a hole of like 3 blocks of water over here, and all of these fish are going to immediately pathfind straight for it, basically. So as soon as they spawn, all of our fish go straight into the trident killers. So on Bedrock Edition, fish drop full bones instead of bone meal like they do on Java Edition, meaning that if you're lucky, when you kill these guys with looting 3, you can get up to 7 bones at a time. As you can see, we just got 6 bones from a single fish. So from that one fish, we just got ourselves 18 bone meal, which is wild, and we're getting absolutely hundreds and thousands of fish in this farm. There's a downside to this mechanic. Fish can actually see deeper water through a wall, so even though these guys can pathfind to this entire area, they're all stuck in this one corner trying to get into this slightly deeper water over here, which I would consider a bug because they have absolutely no way of ever reaching that water, so they should not be trying to pathfind to it. So this is easily fixable. You can either remove the water, that way there's nothing for them to pathfind to, or you can make sure that it's not deep enough and then they won't really care about it. If it's like a single layer of water, like in a water stream, then as you can see, they stop really caring about it, and then they'll go on their way and straight into your trident killers. So with these mechanics in mind, there's 2 really good places to build this farm that don't require a lot of work. One of which is the mangrove swamp, because there is not very much water here at all, and there's not a ton of big lakes or rivers nearby that you would need to drain or fill in. Now, fish spawning does require sky access. It is a surface spawn, so you cannot have any solid blocks above it, meaning that if you want to build the farm very low, you'll have to mine out the entire thing. Fish in this biome also spawn anywhere from Y0 to 64, so you can even dig downwards, which might be helpful for our second biome. The second biome is a lush cave, because tropical fish spawn in this biome, which is perfect for our farm. These can be massive, and you can have one directly underneath your mangrove swamp, meaning that you can build 2 farms and get double the rates. Of course, the fish in lush caves are cave spawns, meaning that you can have solid blocks above them. This also means that they have their own mob cap, which allows us to get double the rates when you build 2 farms. If you're familiar with spawning mechanics, you might think that our AFK platform is a little bit low, but that is because the fish spawning range is from 12 blocks to 32 blocks away from the player. This also means if you plan on stacking your farms, one in a mangrove swamp and another one in a lush cave, then you need to have 24 blocks in between your spawning platforms. And of course, the resources that you need for this farm are very cheap. This is everything that you'll need to build the farm. As you can see, pretty straightforward. You need 5 tridents, and they don't even need to be enchanted. You'll need a looting 3 sword, and then of course you'll need a whole ton of blocks. They don't have to be quartz, they can be whatever you want. We are using some sculk catalysts in this build to destroy the experience down here in the trident killers, because otherwise it would build up over time, be laggy, and there's no good way to deliver it to the player, and it's honestly not really worth it. Now, sculk catalysts are pretty easy to find because they are all over the deep dark. You don't need to fight wardens for them or anything like that. Step 1 of the tutorial is to find yourself a good place to build, either in a mangrove swamp or a lush cave. For a mangrove swamp, I would recommend somewhere roughly in the middle. So keep in mind, even little things like this right here can mess up the pathfinding of your fish and kind of ruin the rates of your farm. So you really do want to build this away from all forms of water. And that's why you especially do not want to build it on the shoreline, because you'll have to end up draining or filling in a ton of water in order to get good rates. And when choosing a lush cave, you also want to find one that doesn't have any water caves in the area or large amounts of water that you need to remove. If you're building this in a lush cave, you can build it at any height as long as the entire farm is within a lush cave biome. The best location for my farm happens to be in this little puddle, so I'm just going to drain it and we can continue building. So when building your fish farm, you cannot use mud as the floor because it's slightly shorter than a full block. As you can see, our coordinate says 63 right now, but if we walk onto this full block right here, it goes up by 64. So there's a 1 pixel ridge right there that the fish will get stuck on when you have light emitting blocks in your floor. So don't use mud, use your floor. Switch it out for any other full block that you want, like dirt, stone, mangrove planks, whatever you want to do. So we're going to pick a spot that is the middle of the farm. I put down our 4 light emitting blocks right here. Our center trident killer is going to be going right between all of these. Now our AFK spot needs to be 12 blocks above this, so we're building at Y62, meaning that our AFK spot's going to be at Y74, right up here, directly above our center trident killer. So now that we've chosen our center spot, we need to expand the farm. In total is going to be a maximum of 40 by 40. Now you can build the farm smaller if you want less rates for some reason, but I'll be showing you how to build the full size farm. So we're going to start by placing in our light emitting blocks. It's a really easy way to get the size right. So all of our light blocks are going to be a total of 2 blocks apart, and we're going to have 7 in total. Starting on this one right here, that is 1 and 2. This one is 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this right here is the very far edge of our farm. So we need to do that going in all 4 directions. So we have our 4 directions in right now. That gives us the very edge of the farm. And now we just need to start flattening this thing out and connecting up the corners. So once you've flattened out the area and connected up the corners, this is the rough size that you should have. It looks pretty big, but it's mostly just mud, so it should be pretty easy to mine. Now, we do need to remove all these trees as well. So you can't have any logs or roots or muddy mangrove roots or any solid blocks above this entire 40 by 40 area that we cleared out. So just go ahead and clean out all of these trees. Or you could just burn down the entire place, because that's way more fun. Yeah, look at it go. This is what it should look like once all your trees are gone. And now it's time to clean up and replace your floor. So get rid of all that mud and put in a full block of your choice, like stone, dirt, planks, whatever you want to use. It just can't be mud. And now it's time to install all the lights in your floor. So again, they are just going to be 2 blocks in between, and you just need the entire grid of these things placed in. And that's what it should look like once you have the entire grid of light emitting blocks in place. Now we just need to install the holes for the other 4 trident killers. So if you go to one of the corners and count in by 3 light emitting blocks, that's where your little 2x2 is going to be going. And it should be 4 blocks from the center one as well. And then, of course, you just do that on all 4 sides. And now we're going to install our first trident killer. Now, all 5 of these are going to be the exact same. So everything I do to this one, go ahead and do to the other 4 as well. So we're going to start by digging down 2 blocks in here for a total of a 3 block deep hole. At the bottom of this, you want to place in some solid blocks. And then we're going to break out 2 blocks in every direction, kind of like this. And then break out 1 more up on these little edges so that you have this general little shape right here. Now we're going to place in a piston right here and just basically keep spinning in circles as you place all these components in. We need a dropper up on each one of the corners just like so. And then we're going to crouch and place an observer facing that dropper, and the tail end of this should be above your piston. And now we're going to place in a solid block behind each one of those observers directly above the pistons. And it should look something like this right here once you have it mostly done. So now we're going to choose one of these corners to have our hopper in it. So just break out that block right there, place a hopper facing to the side, and then we're just going to put in a little double chest over here for some item collection. You need a glass block above that, and then we're going to place in a sculk catalyst right here. We need to fill in these other 2 blocks right here with some solid blocks, and you are good to go. So that's what it should look like once you have it completely built. Also, it doesn't matter what direction your droppers in the corners are facing, it's just there to conduct the redstone power. Now, once you climb out of there, you can go ahead and throw your trident in there, and then I'd recommend that you fill this over with some temporary blocks, like some glass or something. Now, you should also go ahead and test this trident killer as well. So if you just place in a lever above one of your light blocks on the side here, that should power your dropper down there, and you should see those pistons fire. If you unflick that, then you should see them activate just like this, one at a time, going in a nice circle like that. So now that all 5 of our trident killers are installed, we need to wire them up with our on switch. So pick a direction that you want your on switch to be on. Mine's going to be going over here. You're going to line yourself up with your trident killer. Just pick one of these 2 blocks. It can't be between them. So our wall going around the edge is, of course, going to be on this block right here, meaning that our lever is going to be like somewhere off in this direction. Now, I'm just going to put down a redstone lamp with a lever on it to indicate that the farm is on. And then you need to remove some blocks underneath it until you get down below the layer of your farm. So down to this layer right here, because our redstone is going to be running underneath all of our platform. So at our floor layer down here, we're just going to go ahead and place down a couple pieces of glass with redstone on top of them. One more piece of glass going up, and just go up as far as you need to until you reach your redstone lamp. So this is going to conduct the redstone downwards, and then at the bottom here, we're going to have ourselves a redstone torch to invert that signal. Now we need a piece of redstone here and going up. So now we're going to dig out a line of blocks going to our trident killer, something like this. And then once you get to it, we actually need the redstone to be going into that dropper. So we're going to kind of curve it like this, as you can see. So go ahead and remove all these blocks as well, and just continue along this redstone line until it gets over here. Now we're actually going to turn off our lever right now. That way that torch is on. And then once you see where this redstone runs out, we're just going to place in ourselves a repeater right there, and then a solid block in front of it, and one behind it as well. And there we go. That is now powering this trident killer. So when that lamp is turned on, this trident killer should be running. So now we're going to split off this redstone line, going to this trident killer right here, and then of course in the opposite direction over there. Now these redstone lines do not need to be specific or in any particular way. It literally just needs to power the trident killers and keep them powered. So if you build them differently than me, don't worry about it. It really doesn't matter. So once you connect this one up, as you can see, it has died right here. We can just go ahead and put in ourselves a little bit of a repeater right there to keep that signal on. And once you've wired up these trident killers, you can also go ahead and remove your lever as well. And this is what all the redstone lines should look like once you have them installed. If they look different than mine, that's fine. Don't worry about it. As long as they power those trident killers, you will be good to go. Now, before we wrap up our redstone, we should actually test this lever. So make sure that it does actually turn on all of your trident killers when the lamp is on, and make sure it turns them all off when the lamp is off. Now, you are going to want to have some pathways from one trident killer to another underneath your spawning platform here, because that's how you're actually going to access your chests. And you'll also want some infrastructure down there, like auto crafters, to turn your bones into bone meal and bone meal into bone blocks. So maybe go ahead and take the opportunity to mine out some space underneath this farm real quick. That way you can build up that infrastructure later. But once you have everything built how you want it, you can go ahead and cover up all your redstone blocks with your spawning platform blocks. And now we are going to install the water. Make sure that all of your edges are filled in. That way no water escapes and like floods your redstone lines. To flood this thing with water, you just need to get yourself a couple of water buckets. Place one every other block. That makes an infinite water source in the middle that you can grab from. And then just keep on placing that all the way across this thing. And then once you get to the corner over here, just keep doing that on this side. And as you can see, once you fill in 2 sides, this entire thing is going to flood in, saving you a ton of time. Make sure you have these temporary blocks over your trident killers. Otherwise, the water won't flow in properly. But as you can see, that is all there is to it. So now mobs are actually going to start spawning in here. So you can go ahead and remove your temporary blocks above your trident killers. Make sure there is a trident in there, and do that for all 5 of them. So as you see, we have a ton of fish spawning this thing. They're all going to be going directly into our trident killers. And now is a great time to install the wall going around the edges of this thing. So simply build up all these edges to the height that you want it. And a wall is going to keep slimes and hostile mobs and all kinds of guys out of your farm. So now that our wall is built going all the way around this thing, we need to go up to our AFK spot. You can either just build up yourself a nice little glass platform going over, and then like some scaffolding down, or whatever you want to do. However, you cannot build out of solid blocks in this area, because that is going to stop fishes from spawning beneath you and reduce your rates. So make sure it's all stuff like glass, slabs, leaves. Anyway, at your AFK spot, this should be a 2x2 of glass directly above your center trident killer. We're going to put some glass panes over here. That way we just kind of like walk into that corner, stand right here. And then, of course, we're going to have a couple of leaves above us. And this is going to stop phantoms from spawning. And that's how you build a super simple and efficient bone meal farm on Minecraft Bedrock Edition. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, drop a like, share it around, and subscribe.